And I hope you're having an amazing day. So today we're going to start a new series that's Einstein Analytics. So I've talked enough about platform dev. That's great. So now I thought it's better to start with something different. So this will be a bit different to your usual Einstein Analytics that's been taught elsewhere, because the reason why I'm saying different is that I will be talking about Einstein Analytics, which is the primary focus of this tutorial series, but I will also be talking about machine learnings, right? I'm going to talk about supervised, we're going to talk about unsupervised, we're going to talk about reinforcement learning. So what I'm going to do, so I will be covering Einstein Analytics in the beginning, right? That's my first part of this tutorial will be. So what I meant by that, say, for instance, today we're going to talk about Einstein Analytics, how to set up an org, and we're going to do some basic operation on apps and other stuff, right? And then at the end of today's series, I'm going to talk about the difference between supervised and unsupervised machine learning. It's useful for you to know when you're dealing with a tool that connects with machine learning, right? And because think about this, right? You are a Einstein analyst, right? And then you go to a client place, right? And the client place, most likely the person who's using an Einstein analytics could be a data scientist. And data scientists were like, look, that's great. This tool is great. I love the tool. Can you tell me the underlying machine learning algorithm that's used? Is it supervised or is it unsupervised? Is it k-means or what's the other machine learning algorithm? So if you're someone who never heard about this thing and you're like, not really, I think it does something behind the scene. That's really not a good answer, right? So, right, if you're someone who's not interested in machine learning, that's fine. So you can stay till I cover Einstein Analytics, and after that you can jump off from this video. That's pretty okay with me. But if you're someone who would like to learn both at the same time, right, please stay to the end of this tutorial series. I won't be talking anything with Python because this is not a programming course. So if you want me to start machine learning with Python, and I can do that. That's a later series. And we might be talking a little bit of mathematics. We're going to talk about linear algebra as we go forward. I'll be starting a mathematics linear algebra course on my 10 p.m. university. So if you're interested, please check that out. So I'll be starting from next week. Cool. Let's dive in. So the first thing first, you need to log into your org. So before I explain what Einstein is all about, so you need to log into your org. So this is how you log into your org. So you got to developer.salesforce.com /promotions /orgs /analytics -de. Right, so I will put the link in the description below. So you need to register for this org. Once you register it, you will get an email, and once you get an email, so verify it, and then it will ask you to log in, ask you to change your username and password. Right, pretty straightforward, like you do, normally do with other Salesforce org login. Right, so the prerequisite for this course, you need to have basic understanding of the Salesforce, like basic understanding of the SQL query language. You need to have a basic understanding of what an account means, what an opportunity means, or how to create custom objects. So I expect you to know that. I won't be talking about that, right? Cool. Right, so what is Einstein, right? We heard a lot about Einstein. Is that the Einstein who created E equals to MC squared? No, not really. This is not about it. So think about this, right? Your company, right, have offices. Think about a multi-billion-dollar organization, because I'm talking from a big company profile. You can use this for a small company as well. But for a moment, think about a multi-billion-dollar corporate who has offices different part of the world, right? And then they have a different softwares, and some have a data license SQL Server, one has a data license Oracle, one has a data resides in Salesforce, one has a data resides in data warehouse tool like Teradata or Oracle, whatever it is, right? And now, as a business head or as a sales head, right, you would like to correlate, you would like to combine all those data and get an insight, right, data insight to see, all right, how specific, how is that, say for instance, Tokyo branch is doing better than Sydney branch. Okay, how is the Frankfurt branch is doing better than Milan branch, right? How is the Mumbai branch doing better than Beijing branch, right? Or Shanghai, whatever it is, right? So to get those insight, right, you need to have all those data at one place, right? And then to see a data insight, right? So I wanted to have a data from, say, Teradata database warehouse. I wanted to have a data from my Sydney office. I wanted to have a data I wanted to consolidate all the data. I wanted to see it at one place. I want to have a data insight to it. So how is it possible to do that? So that's where Einstein analytics comes in picture, right? So what you can do, right? You can extract the data from your Oracle database. You can extract the data from a SQL Server database. You can extract the data from a data warehouse. You can extract it from a Salesforce, and you can create a data set in Einstein and use that data set to create charts and reports so that your sales guy or your business development manager, whoever it is, can look at the insight and say, this is why Sydney branch is not making much money. This is why Milan branch is not making much money. So what can we do to improve it? So this will give you a powerful data insight. That's one of the main advantage of the Einstein analytics. It's powered by artificial intelligence. It's used machine learning algorithm under the hood, right? So we're going to talk about it at the end of this series, right? Right. So it is a platform by Salesforce, which is more secure, trusted, scalable, and of course you can use in a mobile as well, right? So when you can use desktop browser or you can use mobile devices, and you can get the answer you need from your data in order to run your business. That's one of the main key requirements, right? Because if you don't know what your data is doing, where you're making money, where you're losing money, you can't really run a business, right? To run a business, you need to have an insight into your data. Data is powerful. Data is the new electricity. You can imagine trillions of data get collected each day, right? Google collects a lot of data. Facebook collects a lot of data. Every platform collects a lot of data. Data is the next AI. Data is the next electricity. Like Andrew Ng said that AI is the next electricity, right? That's great. But you need to have a data to do artificial intelligence on it, right? So data is the core, forms the core foundation for artificial intelligence. And machine learning is a subset of AI, right? You have deep learning, then you have, so which use neural networks and other stuff. We're not going to get into deep learning right now. We might cover at the end. So this tutorial series is for basic Einstein. I'm not going to do very deep dive. So once I finish this entire course, we're going to go into certification pathway. And then we're going to talk more detail about machine learning. We're going to talk about reinforcement learning. We're going to talk about deep learning. And you're going to talk about neural networks, back propagation, all kind of stuff you're going to talk about, right? Right. First, so please don't get overwhelmed. This is a very easy course. I try to make it as simple as possible, right? I will try my best. Okay, cool. Now, so once you logged into your org, right, as using first step, you need to register for org. Once you log into your org, so you'll get something like this, right? Pretty straightforward. Nothing fancy, similar to your normal Salesforce org, right? And then what you have to do, you need to go into Analytics Studio. This is where all the magic happens. So today what we're going to do, we're going to create a dashboard, right? That's all we're going to do. So we have something called, so this is how your screen will probably look like. It might vary a bit, but just for the sake of argument, let's say this is how you look. Looks like. Most of the stuff will be same depending upon the time of the year you're watching the series. So you got home, you got notification, you got all items, favorites, share with me, created by me, learning center, data manager, model manager, community, right? And this is where you need to pay attention to create. So you got to worry about these things like apps, dashboard, story, and the data set, right? And so these are actually called as your analytics assets, right? Apps, dashboard, lenses. But what are these assets, right? So first of all, apps, right? Apps, think about like a folder which contains your a dashboard, then you have lens and you have data set, right? And that's where the whole magic happens, right? And the apps can be of two types. One is your private apps and one is the shared apps, right? Now, the private app, this is visible to you and only to you, right? You can't share your private app with anyone, because if you wanted to store your asset with some sensitive information, right, and a dashboard which is in progress. So you can use this as a private app because you don't want it to show to someone else, right? Incomplete app, right? And shared app is pretty much opposite to your private app because the shared app is accessible by everyone in your organization, right? Which has access to Einstein, right? And although it's accessible by everyone, you can still ensure stricter security on data set through role level security, right? We're gonna deep dive into that later, right? So what we're gonna do, let's jump hands-on. So let's gonna create an app, right? And we got two options here. One is the blank app, and then another one start from template. To make it simple, we're gonna use the blank app. So the template is provided by Salesforce, right? So you're gonna do create blank app. We're gonna do first demo app, right? So create it. Right, and there you are. So you got all items is empty. So dashboard, we're gonna create dashboard. Stories you can create. Lenses give you lenses are more like think about lenses are like your Salesforce report. Like in a normal Salesforce org, you have reports, right? And if you wanted to see information about your data, you create a Salesforce report. Similarly, if you wanted to see information about your data set, you could use lenses. So we're gonna talk deep dive into lenses later. Okay, and data sets is like your collection of the data related objects data, right? Your leads or accounts, and you can you can even use connect to an external system. You can even connect to Azure. You can connect to your AWS. You can connect to Heroku. You can do you can use that. I will show you in a minute. Then details, you're gonna talk about your app's details. So let's say I wanted to change the description to this is my first demo app, right? I'm just gonna just gonna use this app info, right? Einstein, because it looks familiar, right? Cool. All right. So we're gonna do we're gonna create first dashboard. Okay, forget about dashboard. Let's create a data set, right? So we're gonna do first data set. It's empty here, so we're gonna do create, right? And then we're gonna do create data set. We're gonna do so you can these are the options we have here. Right, you can do CSV file. You can import directly from a CSV file. Let's say you received a data set in the form of CSV file, so you can use that as well here. And you can use the Salesforce data, which is your local data, which is stored in your Salesforce org, and external data if you wanted to connect to, let's say, Oracle or SQL Server or Azure or AWS or whatever, like Google BigQuery and all this kind of stuff. So I'll just give you an example. You go to external data, right? So you can do add connection. I'm not going to do anything here. I'm just giving an example. So you can see you can do all this stuff here, right? You can connect to RDS, MySQL. You can do BigQuery and all kind of stuff, right? And you can do Oracle, SQL Server, MariaDB, Amazon, right? A lot of options. NetSuite, you can even do NetSuite, right? This is pretty popular. Cool, right? So we're not going to do any of this stuff here today. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to data set. My apologies, guys, if you're hearing some noise. It's Saturday, as you usually know. I live in a small town in New Zealand, even though it's very quieter most of the time. Saturday nights can go crazy, right? In everywhere in the world, right? I lived in London as well, so in a quiet suburb, but, sometimes things get crazy. Cool. Right, so go to create, go to data set, and then we're going to do Salesforce data. So we're going to do, okay, let's choose some name, right? First demo data. Okay, first demo, we're gonna do leads, so that's what we're interested into. So we're gonna use the leads data set. I hope everyone knows what the lead object is about. If not, please go through my other Salesforce video. I'll probably find some for you and put the link below. It's very important you understand the Salesforce object before you jump into Einstein. Please do not get into Einstein without understanding basic Salesforce. Okay, right. So add to an existing data flow. We're gonna create a new one. So let's say just gonna do first demo data flow. Right. Next. So we're gonna do let it load. It sometimes takes a minute or two. So we're gonna look for leads. You can type leads, nice and easy, right? Okay, select here. All right, and then you're gonna do add the fields. So let's load. So I want to know annual revenue, and I wanted to know, you can even search for it if you're not sure about the name. So I'm going to do lead source. I want a lead source. And then I want the first name or something. So we probably look for a full name, right? This is, and probably add a couple more stuff. Then we're done selecting fields. So we're selecting the fields, or that's what we're doing. You can, so just to create a data set, right? So we can create a, so probably add a phone number. That's right. Okay, so that's all we need. And we're gonna close it. Okay, and then we got 4 fields, and we're gonna do next. And then we're gonna do, this is not a shared app. This is your first demo app, right? That's the name of the app I've created, as you can see here, right? Okay, cool. Now, just gonna do create data set. So this one will take some time. It might take 5 minutes. It might take 2 minutes, depending on this, underlying process performance. So you're gonna do, okay, go to data monitor. So it says it's running, right? So it will take some time. So in the meantime, while it's running, so I just wanted to talk about, the thing. There is, the dashboard, right? You can do a lot of fancy stuff with the dashboard. Let me come here for a second. So the dashboard, right? So the dashboard is where all the magic happens. You can drag and drop the chart. You can drag and drop the other stuff. You can, I will show you in a minute. So what we're going to do today. So the main target for today is that we will going to create a chart, right? A basic chart, and we drop that chart into dashboard and link the lead chart to our lead data set, right? Let's see if it's running. So it's still running. So it sometimes takes time. So yeah, so, and then we're gonna try to make it a little bit tidier, prettier, whatever you call. And that's the main thing we're going to talk about. And and while we're reading, this one uses machine learning under the hood, right? And so you don't really have to know what's the machine learning models that's used behind the scene, but it's always good to know the basic concepts, right? What is a supervised machine learning and what is an unsupervised machine learning? Because this is a very commonly talked topic in machine learning world, right? Everyone knows the difference between supervised and there are different algorithms that associated with the supervised machine learning. So we won't be talking about those kind of stuff, right? So that's one of the, okay, so seems like it's gonna take some time. In the meantime, while it takes, let's create a dashboard, right? Just a dummy dashboard. So what we're gonna do, go to dashboard here, right? And this is empty here. So we're gonna do create a dashboard, okay? And we're gonna do create dashboard. We're going to do a blank dashboard, and so we're going to do create blank dashboard. And so we have a lot of things here. These are the widgets here, so which is usually used for your data visualization, right? If you are someone who works with data visualization, the charts and widgets and charts and tables and things plays a major role, right? So we let's look at it still running. Sometimes it's very slow. Let's see. Okay, so that's created. That's fantastic. So what we're gonna do, so let's look at here. Okay, first demo app, and let's get the data set. Voila! So data set is there. So we're exactly in the right time. Okay, cool. Right, now what we're gonna do, so we're gonna go to this new dashboard, and we're gonna take this chart here, and we're gonna drag it here. Right, just make it bigger, and we're gonna do first demo lead. This is exactly what we wanted, right? Voila! So it created something for you. So what we're gonna want, I wanted to, group this by stage. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to bar, and we're gonna do lead source, right? So it looks nice and tidy here. And now you can add other stuff as well if you wanted to say to see by name, full name, you can do that as well. So you can see that under partner referral, these are the customers you got. Under phone inquiry, these are the customers you got. And purchase list, these are the type of the the lead sources. And you can even filter this. Let's say I'm not interested to know about the partner referral. I'm only interested to know the lead source through phone inquiry, purchase list, and web, right? So what you can do, you can go to filters here and add a filter, and then go to lead source, and then say, look, I'm interested into web, I'm interested in purchased list, and I'm interested in phone inquiry, right? All you have to do. It will refresh it. So nice and easy, right? Nothing fancy here. Okay. So now let's see. So this is one of the options you can do, right? But what we're gonna do, I don't want it to have a full name here, so we're just gonna make it nice and simple. So we're gonna delete the full name here, right? And then I will go to here, the charts. I wanted to show this in the form of a donut chart, right? I don't like this chart, so for whatever reason, I decide to make in the form of a donut. So you can do that. So there is something called charts here, right? And go here, and then we're gonna go here to you can have different options here, right? And so you can go here, choose the donuts, right? Right, nice and easy, right? And just do done. Okay, and I will make it bigger. I want it to look in the form of, right. So now we're gonna do save. Okay, and you're gonna do save. Fantastic, right? That's exactly what I wanted to do. And now what we're gonna do, so we will go to close it here, and then we gonna go to, so dataset is done. That's pretty okay. So what we didn't do, I think we didn't save it. That's not good, right? So let's do it again. My apologies. Should have saved it. You know, this is one of the mistakes you might do, right? So, right, okay. So what we're gonna do? So we're gonna okay. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. All right. Okay, so let's choose the first demo lead, and I wanted to add lead source, and then gonna add full name to see how it works. So you can do mix and match and kind of stuff, right? So chart type, so you have chart type here, right? And you can go here. I wanted to have a donut shape. Wow, this is exactly what I wanted, right? A little bit nice and pretty. Okay, so I wanted to expand it. Okay, and so count of rows, and then you're gonna do phone inquiry. Okay, so I will go to default, and so I'm gonna do right. Okay, and then we're gonna do some color change, right? While we're here, we're gonna make it nice and prettier. Let's for now just add partner referral, everything, right? That's fine. We're just gonna go to widget style, and you see there's a widget style here, right? And advanced property. So go to background color. Let's say I don't like this color, so I'm just gonna make it this one. Cool. You can make it black as well. Oh, that looks yucky, right? Okay, this looks pretty nice and clean. Cool. And then I like to have a border color, or let's see, I wanted to have a thick border color. Is that looks nice, or okay, I wanted to have something like this. Cool, right? And then border width, just gonna make it border width a bit, right? Just looks nice and easier. And we don't have to do a conditional formatting. You can do full name, but it doesn't mean you don't have to. But you know, I'm not gonna do conditional formatting. We're gonna talk about that later. So today's topic is all about the very basic stuff. You know, how to create a data set and how to create a chart, just to give you an idea how the stuff looks like. So what we did, we used the lead data set and we're creating a chart, right? Okay, so this is exactly what I wanted. So, and so you can even write a query here, you know, and so okay, so let's save it. So I don't want it to make a mistake like I did last time. So we're gonna do first demo dashboard. I'm gonna go to demo app, right? And right, you know what happened last time? I saved into my private app, right? That's why it was not visible. So okay, so we're gonna do save first demo app, okay? And so that's saved, or perhaps I haven't saved it, so could be either way. Right, so we got a dashboard here. Fantastic, right? Now we're gonna close it. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna run app. there you are, voila. So you got a first Einstein Analytics dashboard app, right? That's all. So you can do a lot of options. You can use multiple data set. So the main aim for today's session is just to give you an understanding about how to get started with Einstein, right? So that's pretty much I wanted to talk about in terms of Einstein Analytics. So, and if you have any questions or comments, please put it under the description below. Okay, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna jump into machine learning, right? So I bought this Wacom tablet, so we're gonna use this fresh paint, right? So we're gonna talk about. I'll try my best to write it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of writing on a computer, but I thought it's better to explain to you guys. So if you're not interested in machine learning, you can jump off from the video. That's fine. So before you go, if you like my channel, please subscribe, right? And if you don't like, that's fine. So I'm gonna talk more about Einstein. So okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about machine learning. Okay, so there are two kinds of machine learning, three in fact, right? Supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about, this writes good, supervised, right? And then we have excuse me for my bad handwriting, my apologies for that. Okay, so this is a supervised machine learning, right? And machine learning, as usual, I said, it's a subset of artificial intelligence, right? So we're going to talk about supervised learning first, and then we're going to go to unsupervised learning. Cool. Right. Now, what is supervised learning, right? First of all, the word supervised means supervision, right? So think about a scenario, right? Let me give you a scenario, right? You have an email, right? So this is your email, right? And then you have spam filters in your email, right? So you will be surprised, most of the times your Outlook is very capable of, blocking the spams and putting into junk. How does it even know it, right? Right? Cool. So let's say you've been given a task, okay, to filter out the spam from your email. So if you are a developer, right, if you don't know anything machine learning, what are you normally going to do? So let me do one thing. Let me clear this off first, right? And then we're going to clean it in a blank sheet. So then we're going to talk about, okay, so what we're going to do, so if you're a developer, you're going to do if, right, word equals to something xxxx, right? Then flag it as spam, right? Oh, come on. Spam. Then you're going to do else if word equals to blah, 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 right? Flag is spam. So you're going to make it flag as spam, right? So you imagine, right? So you're going to build this chain of stuff. That's fine. It may work, right? So what if the word changes, right? What if, the hacker is very clever, introduce, instead of xxx, introduce ayx, right? So it's kind of a nightmare to maintain all this kind of stuff, right? So how are you going to do that? So that's where the supervised machine learning comes in the picture. So what supervised machine learning is, you have been assigned with the label data set, and then you pass the label data set to your model, and then get a result. And you wonder, what? What are you talking about, label data set? What are you talking about, models? Can you speak English, please? All right, so, cool. Think about a case of an email, right? So email, so we have email, right? Email 1, you got an email from someone, right? Okay, now, you know that is a spam email, right? Cool. And second email you got from, let's say, from your boss, that's not a spam, not spam. Hope you don't mark it as a spam, right? For whatever reason. Okay, all right. So let's take an example of a 2 data. Cool, right? Now, we have a model. Model is, think about a black box for now, right? Don't worry about it. Now, you pass this email 1 to, email 1 to this model, and you say, this is a spam your output, right? This is your output. And then you pass E2 to this model, and you tell this model that it's not a spam, right? So what are you trying to do? You're trying to educate this model. Look, this even whatever email, when I send you, then it's not a spam. And if it's E2, then when it's even, it's a spam. And when it's E2, it's not a spam. So what happens is so imagine you've been training this model with thousands of this E1, E2, E2, right? Spam. And imagine you get something called E3, right? And it could be spam, it could not be spam, right? Oh, come on. So what happens is, so you pass this E3 here, right? And now you are actually relying on this model, previously learned knowledge, to determine if it's a spam or it's not a spam, right? So what happens is your model will actually go through all the training it has done before, like based on the data it passed, right? And it will probably come up and say, look, it's a spam or not spam, right? So this kind of problem, what we call as classification in machine learning, supervised. It's called classification problem. So classification problem means you either say it's a spam, right, or not a spam. And the label data set, this is what I call label data set, where you know even isn't spam and E2 is not a spam. So these are the labeled data set, collection of data. And we have something called feature, right? So, okay, let me clean this up for. So I hope that's clear for you, basic. So we have classification and non-classification, right? There's something called regression in machine learning I'm going to talk about now. So classification, it's something like you have given a few data like words, sender email, sender address. These are called features, and it's mostly in the form of a table form. Let me draw it and show you what I mean by that. Hang on a second. My apologies. So this is the first time I'm using this vacuum tablet. So I thought I heard that people review is great. I mean, so far it's fine. I tried on my Android, it doesn't work. So, and then, it works with Mac and Windows, which is funny. I mean, you can do that on Android, but it's just a pain. Sorry, okay. Don't want to use any bad words. My apologies. Okay, so feature set, right? So in this case, feature set, let's mark it as X1. Let's mark it as X2. And let's mark it as, okay, X1, X2, fine. So feature sets, these are the words like XXX word. I don't want to name any words. So you're smart enough to figure out the spam words. And XXX1, and XXX2, XXX3. And these are the senders, email, address, right, whatever, XYZ at XYZC at blah, 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 right? So these are the feature sets you pass to your model, right? Right, you pass X1, X2, XN, and you pass to your model, and it predicts the YN, right? So this is it will tell you if it's a spam or not spam, right? That's a classification. It's a Boolean value, true or false. That's what classification means. Or based on your cell data or other width of a cell, thickness of a cell. If your doctors out there, they know what I'm talking about. It will so the model will tell you whether you have a cancer or not a cancer. That's one of the classification, right? And so yeah, and there are a lot of other classification, whether based on your forecast, weather forecast, whether it will gonna rain or not rain, right? These are the classification problem. Now, if you're someone who's not interested in only true or false or yes or no, then you need to. Oh my goodness, there is a big motorbike. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of noise out there. I mean, my apologies. It's really annoying because that's one of the reasons why I moved to small town in New Zealand. I hate living in big cities. I used to do that in my 20s. No, I don't like it. There's too many people, too many noise. All right. Okay, cool. Right. All right. So what we're going to do, so we're going to talk about regression. So that's one of the thing we have. So if you're someone who is interested into, let's say, calculating the price of a house, right? Then you will use non-classification model. So that is one of the we call it as a regression. So regression. So if you wanted to have a continuous value, right? So for instance, square feet of the house, number of bedrooms, right? And location, right? And then you determine the price. So you're training your model with this data, right? Let's say this is your input, and right, and this is the output, which you tell the model that will happen. Let's say 100 square feet, right? And your bedroom is 2, location is say Frankfurt, right? It costs you what, like 800,000 euro, right? And then you have so 150 square feet, 2-bedroom Frankfurt, costs you 850k euro. Then you have, oh come on, then you have 200 square feet, 3-bedroom Milan, costs you 1 mil, right? Then you have right, so we are training this to your model, right? And so we have a model here, right? And you pass all this data. Let's call it as a feature set x1, x2, x3, and you're gonna go as a model, and you're gonna get it as yn. So, and then when you pass, say 300, so when you pass, let's say a different data set, right? Let's say 140. Let's say I wanted to find out 140, 2-bedroom, and if it's in Frankfurt, so how much it will cost. So based on the 2 data, it will figure out somewhere close to around 830, 820. So the model will predict efficiently. So because it's already been trained with existing data, so that's one of the things you can figure out, right? And okay, so what we're gonna do, so we're gonna clear this boy here, and it's gonna take some time to clear. You can see that my skill set of drawing kind of paint is absolutely pathetic. So, right, I mean, I think I will improve over the course of time, so please bear with me. So next time I'll try to learn a little bit more about this fresh paint and kind of stuff, right? So I probably might use another tool if I can see. Okay, all right. So, all right, this is annoying. Cool. All right, now we're gonna draw a graph, and let's talk about. Let me take you back to your algebra in your high school, right? So we're gonna do. This is y-axis, x-axis. Let's say house in square foot. All right, and then price. So your price here. This is called price. And this is called square feet, right? It is marked as X. So whatever figure, right? And you have dots here, data 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 here, right? Now, what you can do, just draw a straight line, right? This looks good, cool. Right, so this is your model, right? You can call it as an M. So your equation becomes y equals to m times x plus c. Think about from your linear algebra class where you had a linear, equation, linear regression, right? So you might remember m is the model and x, then c is a constant, right? So in this case, x is a feature, right? And model, this is the model, m, the slope, and c is the bias. So this is the bias, right? So this is called c, or you can, m is usually a vector, so y equals to wx plus b. This is how we write. So b is this bias, right? So this is the bias because it started from, okay, and x is a feature set and w is this, right? Now we have something called loss function, right? Loss. So the loss happens is, right? So your model said the value is here, which is fine. So there's no loss. Your model said the value is here, but actual value is here. So the difference between these two is called loss, L1. And see, the model said your value is here, but the value is here. So the difference between these two is loss. And the value is here, and the model said the value is, so model said the value is here, actual value is here. So difference between these two as a loss. So your model said the value is here, and the actual value is here. So there is no loss. So your model said the value should be here, and the actual value is here. So there is a loss. So your model said the value is here. So this is the loss, right? Cool. So you can calculate very basic loss functions. So that is means the y minus y square. This is the L squared loss equation. I'm not going to go detail into that today. So just so difference between these two values, you can lead to the loss. So obviously, if the loss is higher, your model is not good. So you need to make your model in such a way the value of loss is negligible, right? It's lesser. That's exactly one thing. Cool. Now, we're going to talk about, so that's the basic thing. I want to talk about the supervised model. And then we have something called unsupervised model, right? So in supervised model, right, we talked about a training your model with a label data set, right, which is great. So you know the house prices you based on your square feet and all that kind of stuff, right? And you're pretty confident with all the kind of stuff you're doing, which is so in supervised model, there's no such thing called train label data set, right? You might be given a, say, so what happens is, so you will be given something like this, right? Let me draw it here. Okay, so you'll be given something like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, x, 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 1, x, y, y, x, x, x. Imagine this is your data, right? You wanted to pass. And you don't know anything about this data, right? So what happens when you pass into your model, right? This is your model. So it's a responsibility of the model to figure out what is heck the data is you sent to me, right? So the model, what probably will do, it will put them into cluster of, right? And this is, so it created 3 clusters. So this is called clustering, right? And so it will actually, because the model is not trained before, right? And the model won't probably know what the data you're talking about. So model will group it by itself based on the intelligence, algorithm under the scene. And then, right, okay, I think what does the model will say? I think it has to be clustered into 3 groups, like 1, 1, 1, x1, x1. So this is called clustering, right? Right, so, a person or in other words, let's say you pass on a, let me give you an example of the beers, right? You have different, four bottles of beers, okay, not 4. Let's say you have 10 bottles of beer, and out of which 3 bottles are lager, and then 2 bottles are stout, and then 3 bottles are porter, and then 2 bottles are ales, right? So when you pass on this beer, 10 bottles of beer information to the model, without informing the model what it is all about, model will probably have to figure out one thing and put it into cluster, like 2 goes to ale, 3 goes to porter, 3 goes to stout, and 2 goes to lager, right? So that's called clustering. Then we have association. So I won't talk much about into that today. So this is the basic difference between supervised and unsupervised. Supervised, you will be provided with a non-labeled data set where you have no clue what the data is all about. And so algorithm has to figure out and put into cluster or into association, right? So there is a very common algorithm that's used that's called k-means. So if you want interested, please check it out. And there are a lot of articles out there about the supervised and unsupervised machine learning, right? So please check it out. It's very handy when you are learning Einstein, right? It's good to know, right? As I said, you go to client place, you meet a data scientist and say, look, what the heck we are talking about? Okay, and then if the data scientist is rude, they will say, look, bring me someone who understands machine learning. I don't want to talk to someone who just point and click. Right? If I'm a data scientist, I'll be keen to work with another data scientist. I mean, I'm not interested to work with someone who just point and click. I can figure it out myself, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying to discourage you guys out there. I'm just saying it's very important to understand what's going under the hood, right? Especially if you're a developer. Oh, hell yeah, I recommend you should understand that. If you're not a developer, if you're a functional consultant, yeah, I mean, it's good to know the basic concepts anyways, right? Because we're not talking about the code to begin with. Cool. So that's all I wanted to cover today. I hope you guys find something useful. If you think I haven't covered something, if you think I've talked something incorrectly, please let me know in the comments and description below. I'll try to talk more detail next time about machine learning as well. As usual, this will be at the end of the chapter, end of this Einstein tutorial. I will not cover this at the beginning of the tutorial because I would like to focus on Einstein first, and then who are interested, they can obviously pay attention to machine learning class, because I wanted to teach both of them together, something different. Most of the people haven't done that before. I haven't seen any course So, right, so we're gonna talk about a lot about as we go into uh, Einstein, right? So that's being said. I hope you have an amazing Saturday wherever you are, whichever part of the world, or even if you're in other part of the Earth, or even in your space station, right? If you're interested to, right. So that being said, adios and greetings from New Zealand. Take care.